Hey everybody, welcome back to Marriage Monday. We are so glad that you're here again with us this evening. We keep laughing because we keep trying to get this episode going and we keep stumbling over words. So, welcome back to Marriage Monday. Here we go. Last week we talked about togetherness, and we talked about in our growth moment that we wanted you to call out some lies and get that working inside of your marriage, not the lies, but get working through talking down the lies, getting rid of those inside of your marriage. Yes. And so this week we're actually going to move on from here, and we're going to spend 2 weeks on affair-proofing your marriage. This is a subject that's pretty intense. This is a subject that came out of the Indestructible Marriage series. And so what we do is we bounce back between a lot of different materials, but for the next 2 weeks, we're going to take a lot of the material out of these 2 chapters that are really, really good. Because it gives us some really good tools, and it gives you stuff to watch out for red flags inside of your marriage, and kind of give you a basis for making sure you don't go into an affair or have to walk through an affair. But if you have, then obviously there's grace there and you can come back from that. So is there anything you want to say on that before we get started? All right, so did you know my phone alarm was going off? I should have put that on silent. Ruth, did you know, just to start off the topic of affair proofing, did you know that affairs don't have to be about sex?
Yes.
You did know that? Wow. Otherwise we wouldn't be talking about this. So, to start the topic off, you can have an affair without actually having sex. And what is that, Ruth?
What? Emotional affair.
An emotional affair.
What is what?
We're almost driving so good on the same page. Anyway, Ruth, tell us about what is an emotional affair. Why is it so dangerous? Kind of talk to us.
An emotional affair is just where you have opened up your heart to somebody and let them in on things that are supposed to be kept between you and your spouse. You doesn't have to have sex. It doesn't have to have anything, but it's somebody that you're leaning towards and looking towards to sort through things. To
in essence, like an affair by definition really is anything that you give to something else, not doesn't have to be someone, anything that you give to something else that belongs to your spouse.
Right.
So within the context of marriage, if I give attention or love or affection or anything like that that belongs to Ruth for a specific time, and yet most of the time it means sex, like you walk out and you are, in adultery or something like that. But it could be a lot of things with I'm taking all my emotions. My best friend is somebody else, and I go to them for all my issues, problems, prayer. Everything that I do goes to the other person. Anyway, keep going.
So when you are opening up yourself and you're pouring your heart out to another person that isn't your spouse, then it just gets, because nobody sets out to be like, oh, I'm gonna cheat on my husband. Like that's not how it starts. It's the small things. It's the things that you don't think mean that much. Like, oh, he's just helping me. Like, he listens to me, or he understands me, or he cares about me. Those kinds of things that you just tend to lean toward that person before you lean on your husband. And
it may seem innocent at that time because you're like, okay, this person genuinely does, and the other person may genuinely care about what is going on inside of your marriage or inside your life. Do they have license or place to be there speaking into that marriage? No. And this is a really dicey area because you could have friends that maybe are the opposite sex or the same sex that are really good listeners, that you want to be able to speak to them and talk to them. Ruth and I had a hard time in the first part of our marriage because we didn't have a lot of friends, and so the friends we did have, sometimes those things would pop up where there was a chance for an emotional affair where I could be like, well, this person here can listen to me talk about this, this, and this, when I feel like all you do is shut me out, or all you do is nag. And so all those things would flow into that person when it's really your spouse that should be listening to you. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
It starts to, like, we talk about the doors and the windows and everything being open, but when you feel that disconnect, and that, like, we are at a place right now in our marriage where we can feel each other when they pull away or when when something's going on, we know each something. Then we'll talk about it. We'll be like, okay, what's going on? What's happening with you? And we can kind of see what's going on with each other that way. So.
And what we've said this several times throughout a bunch of episodes is the choosing connection. And this is so vital inside of your marriage, is to make sure that you're actually choosing connection with your spouse. Because when you don't, your spouse can, one, feel that, but two, it also opens up the doors for a onslaught of a ton of other things.
Right.
If you have your Bibles tonight, I want to go to Hebrews 13. And I think we've talked about this before on Marriage Monday, but we'll just go into this again, because if I had to pick my top 5 favorite scriptures in the entire Word, it'd be one of them would be Hebrews 13:5, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of a context here. So starting in verse 5, it says, "Let your conduct be without covetousness, but be content with such things as you have. For he himself," talking about God here, he says, "He has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you." And then it says, "So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me?" And so when we've talked about this before, and you can take this into the context of marriage as I'm saying this, God has said to us that I will never leave you nor forsake you. And what's so important about that is that he's saying, I will never physically leave you. You know, you are my son. You are my daughter. I'm never going to leave you. You are my flesh. Okay? And then you take that into the context of marriage. So let's pause there. I am never physically going to leave Ruth. Yeah, I go to work and things like that. But I'm never going to physically separate myself from her. I'm always going to be one with her, because we are one person. And God looks at us as one person inside of our marriage. All right? You look at the rest of this here, and it says, "Nor forsake you." Are you laughing?
The doors. Our daughter.
Our children keep coming through our doors, and that is okay, because we love our children. And so they don't know Mommy and Daddy are doing an episode. Anyway, back to this. It says, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." And what's so awesome about this is that God has given us another promise here, and it's the same promise you can take into the context of marriage, because he's saying, I will never forsake you, which means I will never literally turn my heart away from you. I will not distance myself and choose disconnection away from you. Mm-hmm. And so you take this into your marriage, and we're saying, okay, one way or another, we've always felt this time where you feel disconnected from your spouse. I've felt maybe it's in a spat or it's in something like that where I feel like we can't get back on the same page. But if you choose to stay connected with your spouse and say, I know we're going through a difficult time, but I'm not going to turn my heart away from you. In fact, I'm going to turn more towards you and say, okay, what is this thing? Let's come against this thing together, and let's fight whatever it is that's trying to disrupt. And the problem is that marriages get in this moment where they're butting heads, and they forget that they're supposed to actually stay connected, that they're actually supposed to have their heart turned toward one another. And when you get to that place, that's where it opens up the door for an affair, or hey, this person listens to me even though I feel like you're not. So what do you say?
And it's an easy place to get to. Like, it's an easy, like, and the enemy does tempt you and put things there to trip you up. And so just keeping that where you are not going to let things come up in between. And that's why we are really quick to be like, hey, what's going on with you? Like, what's this I'm feeling? And calling that out, because I don't want anything to happen where there is a door opened where we can go that way. And it's not just like certain people, or you could say, oh, I would never do that. I would never do that. But like, people don't set out to have affairs. Like, that's just not what they've set up. So it is keeping. Well,
I was going to say, you could also, during those times, make sure that you're staying attentive to your spouse's needs. Make sure that you're going and giving 150% toward, okay, excuse me, I know what their love language is. I know what their major needs are, and I'm going to pour into this as well. I'm going to, not taking it to an unhealthy place where you're trying to overcompensate and do all that, but still, you have a responsibility as a husband and a wife to go to your spouse and say, okay, I know that you have words of affirmation as one of your major love languages. Let me tell you how awesome of a provider you are and how awesome of a husband you are, and you can go those ways. And it turns your heart back toward the person. And just being raw and real with you, I mean, just even this week, Ruth and I, even yesterday, have been in these fights. And it was yesterday right before breakfast. And we're actually cooking breakfast together, and we had to stop. And I'm like, okay, something's going on here. We're disconnecting with one another. I can't even remember what the fight was about now. It was probably something Ruth did, but we'll move on from there. But the point is that we stopped in that moment, and it sometimes is even a little awkward, even though we've been married over 10 years now. We're like, okay, I love you. Now let's talk about why are we disconnected? What happened this morning? What did I do when I woke up?
And he stopped, and he, we were in the kitchen, and he grabs me, and he hugs me. And my initial reaction...
I was trying to strangle her, but she didn't...
My initial reaction is to push him away.
Yeah.
That's what's in my heart. Oh, I don't want you to hold me. I don't want you to hug me. Just get away. And so, but that's what we have to fight against. That thing that just wants to pull away from them and wants to, when you get hurt, when your feelings get hurt, that you're pulling that away. And he's really good about not letting me.
I'm a big dude. I can strangle you. No, but the reason that... Ruth is saying, he's not letting me away or anything like that. I don't want there to be any kind of disconnection in between us. I don't want there to be any kind of sliver for the enemy to be able to come in and cause any kind of disconnection between us or cause a lie or anything like that. Is there anything else you want to say on affair proofing this time? Okay. Ruth's going to go over the growth moment this week.
So we just wanted to put out if there's something about your spouse that makes you feel jealous. It could be, for me, it was his time. I'm jealous for his time.
Yeah. And so giving that time away to somebody else is a big no-no.
Yeah. Yeah. So just talking about with each other what you feel jealous about, what makes you feel jealous in your relationship. Is there an area that upsets you more times than not, or that you're kind of sensitive in, that just to bring that up and talk about it with your spouse.
And this comes up with, we had talked about, I think it was Neil and Christy Warren, when we went over painting targets for your spouse, that we're not mind readers. And so either one of you could be messing up in an area and you feel like, okay, my husband's supposed to know this or my wife's supposed to know this by now. Make sure you paint a target on yourself and say, okay, this is what my need is. I feel like this isn't being met. Can we work on this kind of thing? So anyway, that's the growth moment for this week. If you have any questions, as always, make sure that you leave a comment or you can message us. Message us.
Message us, yes.
You can send a carrier pigeon, whatever you want to do. Skyscraper. All right, so you can also text us, 903-948-3312. Yeah, I just gave the cell out, but you can text us. It's in the bulletins and everything else.
Okay. Because I need to.
If you're across seas and you try and call me, don't try and give me a car warranty. My warranty is just fine. But you can try and get me. I'm trying to tell them, save them from an affair.
Oh my gosh.
Remember to keep your hearts turned toward your spouse this week. It's the only wisdom I'm going to give you right now. Father, help me help them. God, we just pray blessings over these powerful marriages. God, I thank you that they are already leaving legacies. God, I thank you that they're already blessing people and changing their communities. God, we just bless them in your name. Amen.
Amen.
See y'all next week.